Hi, boys and girls. Today I'm going to read you one of my favorite stories by one of my favorite authors, Max Lucado. It's called You Are Special. Now, Max Lucado writes books for adults and children, and this is one of those books that you might think is just for children, but actually it's for everybody. And it has an interesting meaning. He uses symbolism, and I think once you read the story, you'll be able to figure out who he's really talking about. So we'll start. Let's take off the cover. The Wimmicks were small wooden people. All of the wooden people were carved by a woodworker named Eli. His workshop sat on a hill overlooking their village. Each Wemmick was different. Some had big noses, others had large eyes. Some were tall, others were short. Some wore hats, others wore coats. But all were made by the same carver, and all lived in the village. And all day, every day, the Wimmicks did the same thing. They gave each other stickers. Each Wemmick had a box of gold star stickers and a box of gray dot stickers. Up and down the street, all over the city, people spent their days sticking stars or dots on one another. The pretty ones, those with smooth wood and fine paint, always got stars. But if the wood was rough and the paint chipped, the Wimmicks gave dots. The talented ones got stars too. Some could lift big sticks high above their heads or jump over tall boxes. Still, others knew big words or could sing pretty songs. Everyone gave them stars. Some Wimmicks had stars all over them. Every time they got a star, it made them feel so good. It made them want to do something else to get another star. Others, though, could do little. They got dots. Punchinello was one of these. He tried to jump high like the others, but he always fell. And when he fell, the others would gather around and give him dots. Sometimes when he fell, his wood got scratched, so the people would give him more dots. Then he would try to explain why he fell, and he would say something silly, and the Wimmicks would give him more dots. After a while, he had so many dots that he didn't want to go outside. He was afraid he would do something dumb, such as forget his hat or step in the water, and then people would give him another dot. In fact, he had so many gray dots that some people would come up and give him a dot for no reason at all. He deserves lots of dots, the wooden people would agree with one another. He's not a good wood person. After a while, Punchinello believed them. I'm not a good Wemmick, he would say. The few times he went outside, he hung around with other Wimmicks who had a lot of dots. He felt better around them. One day, he met a Wemmick who was unlike any he'd ever met. She had no dots or stars. She was just wooden. Her name was Lucia. It wasn't that people didn't try to give her stickers. It's just that the stickers didn't stick. Some of the Wimmicks admired Lucia for having no dots, and they would run up and give her a star, but it would fall off. Others would look down on her for having no stars, so they would give her a dot, but it wouldn't stay either. That's the way I want to be, thought Punchinello. I don't want any more marks. So he asked the stickerless Wemmick how she did it. It's easy, Lucia replied. Every day I go see Eli. Eli? Yes, Eli, the wood carver. I sit in the workshop with him. Why? Why don't you find out for yourself? Go up the hill. He's there. And with that, the Wemmick who had no stickers turned and skipped away. But will he want to see me? Punchinello cried out. Lucia didn't hear him. So Punchinello went home. He sat near a window and watched the wooden people as they scurried around, giving each other stars and dots. It's not right, he muttered to himself, and he decided to go see Eli. He walked up the narrow path to the top of the hill and stepped into the big shop. His wooden eyes widened at the size of everything. The stool was as tall as he was. He had to stretch on his tiptoes to see the top of the workbench. A hammer was as long as his arm. Punchinello swallowed hard. I'm not staying here. And he turned to leave. Then he heard his name. Punchinello? The voice was deep and strong. Punchinello stopped. Punchinello! How good to see you! Come and let me have a look at you. Punchinello turned slowly and looked at the wooden bearded craftsman. You know my name? The little wimmick asked. Of course I do. I made you. Eli stooped down and picked him up and set him on the bench. The maker spoke thoughtfully as he looked at the gray dots. Looks like you've been given some bad marks. I didn't mean to, Eli. I really tried hard. Oh, you don't have to defend yourself to me, child. I don't care what the other Wimmicks think. You don't? No, and you shouldn't either. Who are they to give stars and dots? They're Wimmicks just like you. What they think doesn't matter, Punchinello. All that matters is what I think. And I think you are pretty special. Punchinello laughed. Me special? Why? I can't walk fast. I can't jump. My paint is peeling. Why do I matter to you? Eli looked at Punchinello, put his hands on those small wooden shoulders, and spoke very slowly. Because you're mine. That's why you matter to me. Punchinello had never had anyone look at him like this, much less his maker. He didn't know what to say. Every day I have been hoping you'd come, Eli explained. I came because I met someone who had no marks, said Punchinello. I know, she told me about you. Why don't the stickers stay on her? The maker spoke softly. Because she has decided that what I think is more important than what they think. The stickers only stick if you let them. What? The stickers only stick if they matter to you. The more you trust my love, the less you care about their stickers. I'm not sure I understand. Eli smiled. You will, but it will take time. You've got a lot of marks. For now, just come and see me every day and let me remind you how much I care. Eli lifted Punchinello off the bench and set him on the ground. Remember, Eli said as the Wimmick walked out the door, you are special because I made you, and I don't make mistakes. Punchinello didn't stop, but in his heart he thought, I think he really means it. And when he did, a dot fell to the ground. The end. Well, boys and girls, one of the reasons that I like this story so much is because every human being on the planet struggles with the same thing. And actually, I think more adults do than children. But I think you figured out who the wood carver was, who he represents. Yes, he represents God. And all the wooden people represent all of us, who God made. Now, what God said is something that's very important. What the wood carver, Eli, said same thing. We need to come and see God every day, spend time with God every day. And as you know, the best way to do that is to pray. Now, there are other ways that God speaks to us through other people, but He said He wants us. He's waiting for us to come and talk to Him every day. And so, I want you to remember, anytime you have a problem, or if you're worried about anything, or you want to pray for somebody in your family or your friends, all you have to do is stop anywhere you are and talk to God. And so, because of all the things that are going on, I thought a good thing for you to do after hearing this story would be to make some praying hands. And I was trying to decide who I wanted to send my praying hands to. So many people that I sent hugs to have loved getting the hugs, and I thought, you know what, people are going to love this too. But I wasn't sure who I would send it to, so I prayed and asked God if He would tell me who I should send it to. And so, you know, God, sometimes you don't hear His voice out loud, but as I was thinking, and this one didn't even happen the same day, it was the next day, it came to me, all those people, all those workers in the hospital who every day help people, and they are actually doing something very brave, but it's kind of scary for them being around all these sick people. So I decided that I would send my hands, and I traced my hands, and you know, this is kind of the sign for prayer. So the way I did it was I placed my hand on a folded sheet of paper, just like that. So, and then I will cut it out, and that's what I did here, and I actually added a ring. I didn't paint my fingernails like I did before, but you can do whatever you want to decorate it. And then on the inside, this is what I decided to write. You can write whatever you would like, but I'm not very artistic, and I wanted to include a picture, so I went up and just put in images of the world and then printed it off on my computer, and I wrote underneath it, He's got the whole world in His hands. And then I wrote a letter, and this letter is to Dr. Tomlin, who is the CEO of Evergreen Hospital in Kirkland, Washington. And I wanted to share with him that my prayer group is praying for him. And I wrote a scripture in there, and it's Joshua 1:9. Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid. Do not be discouraged, for the Lord your God will be with you wherever you go. And then I just told them about how I was praying for him and all the doctors and the nurses there. And so, I don't know, I told him he can share this with them, and maybe they have a bulletin board where they put messages, because I know a lot of people are doing special things for these workers. But really, one of the most special things you can do for anybody is pray for them and let them know you're praying for them. And so I'm going to put this in the mail, and I am going to send it to Dr. Tomlin. Now, I have another friend whose son is a firefighter, and he's a first responder. He goes along with other firemen in his department and takes sick people to the hospital. So we pray for him. I pray for him daily, and so do all the ladies in my prayer group. So I'm going to send a praying hand to him too. And I think, you know, I'll just try and send these out in the mail to as many people as the Lord puts on my heart to do it for. Because everybody loves to get mail, and they especially like to get mail from children. So I encourage you, boys and girls, to trace your hand and write a little prayer. And you don't have to say much. You can just say, I'm praying for you, and put it in the mail, and you will bless a lot of people. Well, thank you for listening, and next week we're getting closer to Easter, so I'm going to share an Easter story with you. Bye, boys and girls.